and people that have done it, that you don't have to go very far actually to find any supportive information to say you can do this for an athlete, you can do it for a regular Joe. Anybody can eat plant-based. It can fit any lifestyle. It takes you to a healthier place. And I think the biggest hurdle is just that, that people before didn't realize you can do it. Nowadays, it's tons of people do it all over the world. And it's not such a big deal anymore, a big shock to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing is, like, I remember when I discovered you guys, I know you weren't plant-based when you started, but when I started, I thought you were vegan. So I went vegan for like 6 months. I remember contacting Jess about open up a monkey bar gym in San Jose. And I used to get a lot of resistance from family and friends about being vegan or more plant strong. And I was in a health and fitness industry, so I got a lot of pushback from people say you can't get protein from plants and stuff like that. But do you find that a lot in your gym too, like helping people overcome that philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, people, there's concern out there just because nutrition is just, there's so many things out there about nutrition that it can get so damn confusing.
Yeah.
And so people are just going to kind of grab at what kind of makes sense to them. But there's protein in every single thing that we consume. There's stuff, unless it's something that's completely, processed. But if we look at really exactly what the body needs, this will help break down how you need to eat as a vegan or a vegetarian or plant-based. And there are basically these essential and non-essential amino acids, which everyone has pretty much heard of that. There are these essential amino acids that we need to actually consume in our diet because our body does not make them. It doesn't synthesize them. The non-essential amino acids, our body has them. So what happens with this is that if we are eating foods that have both the non-essential and the essential amino acids, we're doing pretty good. When you start eating foods and not really understanding how to eat plant-based or how to eat vegetarian or how to eat vegan, that's when things start getting a little funky when it comes to your essential amino acids, the ones that you need. So what happens is that the body is completely amazing, and it has amino acid pools. Okay, these are something that your body actually has. And let's say you eat a food that is low or maybe completely void of one of these essential amino acids. The body will pull from its amino acid pool and fill that. So it actually kind of helps you create these essential amino acids. But what happens is when you start to transition your diet into plant-based or vegan or vegetarian, you may start going to things that are easily accessible. Something that, you might eat the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
Which means you may not be getting all of the essential amino acids that you need. You may be getting a high or one of that's really high, and then you may be getting an essential amino acid that's really low. And so then when the body says, all right, I need to pull from this amino acid pool that you've created for me, but that essential amino acid isn't there, that's when you start having problems. So it's all about making sure that if you're going into this lifestyle of eating, that you understand you have non-essential and essential, and that you have to replenish these amino acid pools constantly. And it does not mean eating the same thing all the time. That's what will start to get you in trouble. And if you start understanding that, eating this way it's not a problem.
Yeah. If you eat whole food, plant strong, plant meals and stuff like that, you will get all the essentials that you need. And a simple way, if you want to look at it, is animal foods, meats, eggs, milk, stuff like that. They have all the essentials basically. There's plant foods that do as well. And what people think a lot of times is that they want the easiest, the most accessible for the body, and that's just pure meat, because that's what you're trying to replenish. That's pure meat. So they eat that meat. That's a very fast-paced way to accelerate growth of the body, and that's fact, and it works like that. That's why bodybuilders, they consume 400 or 500 grams of protein of meat a day generally, or through other animal supplements and stuff like that, and they hyper accelerate their tissue growth. But people are extremely naive in thinking that if you're going to accelerate the growth of your tissue, your muscle tissue, you're not also going to accelerate the effect on your body of dealing with that much protein, and the amount of work that your internal organs have to do to process that, and then also get rid of the toxins. And it takes its toll on your body in that when you accelerate the body to grow quicker, this only makes sense if you accelerate the body to grow quicker than its natural route of growth, then you're also going to accelerate the demise of that body. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's interesting. So really quick, for people who have questions, we want this as a dialogue. If you guys have questions, go scroll down in the bottom of the Zoom screen, the webinar where it says Q&A. Ask questions even while we're talking. That way we can answer questions right away. Okay, so don't feel free to do that. But I think that's interesting. So I didn't know about that, about the body. It's funny, I read the freaking China study. I must have forgot. Are you saying that it's harder for the body to break down meats in there, in the intestines?
Meats become muscle easier than plants do. That's a fact.
They're easier to digest.
They're easier to digest. And they're already a finished product, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Plants are not as high in aminos across the board as the meats are, but the beauty of plants is that you will get all of them, especially if you eat a variety. You're easily going to get all the essentials and all the amino acids that you need. But what's going to happen is you're going to have more sustained and more consistent growth. And what that does, it's natural for your body. Your body doesn't have excess. It has pools that have the amino acids in it as well, in case you need them. And it gives nice sustained growth and health to the body where it doesn't overtax the body. Extra amounts of protein and things like that, and extra amounts of toxins, and it doesn't stress your hormones your adrenals and stuff like that to deal with all of those animal products and the saturated fats and the cholesterol and stuff like that. So if you look at it in these two different ways, then hopefully you can understand, one, yes, it does grow tissue quicker and stuff like that, but people get obsessed and they only think, oh, it just does this for muscle and it doesn't affect in anything else. And that's where they're mistaken.
Yeah.
The plants, they do it the most natural, it's more like just slow learning, like in school, versus us getting bombarded with a ton of information at one point. Today, people want all the information right away, but they don't really get it, a good deal of information. And plants basically give you slow, sustained energy, health, and balance, basically for short and long term. And that's the big differentiator here when you're looking at proteins from animal and plant-based.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Now, here's the thing, because I'm kind of playing the other side. Like, well, what if you want to, I meet people when I used to be in the fitness industry that want to be really strong and they don't believe having a plant-based lifestyle can help them be strong. I know there's some fitness professionals that's on the webinar right now, or people who have like personal goals to become more physically strong with their kettlebell deadlifts or whatever. What's your thoughts on that? Like, can we get really physically strong with a plant-based lifestyle?
One of the strongest men in the world, he's a world record power lifter, and he's one of the top strongest men in the world, is a straight up 100% vegan.
Wow.
And has been for a long time. And we've proven it, it's been proven many, many times. I mean, look at a gorilla. They're 97% plant-based. You know, and they're not vegan, but they're 97%. Most all primates are around 97 to 98% plant-based, and they're extremely powerful.
Yeah.
It's not so much that people get caught up in thinking about the protein aspects and think instead of, if you eat a variety like we're saying, think in terms of nutrients almost instead. And this is where people get it wrong, when bodybuilders get it wrong, when they eat such a high amount of animal products, and their animal products are very low in nutrients. Okay? And then versus plant-based, which is very high in nutrients.
Yeah.
That's what your body craves. It's not so much calories, it's craving X amount of nutrients every day. Plants serve that better than animal products do. No, and the main thing that I want to say for everybody out there is learn how to eat whole food, plant-based or plant strong or nutrient rich. Learn how to eat that way. You know, and if that for you consists of 10% animal products, then fine. If it consists of 5% or 0% animal products, fine. Whatever floats your boat for short and long term, whatever it is your path. But the important thing about it is you got to learn, like what Jesse was saying a minute ago, you got to learn how to just eat this way so that no matter what the meal is any time of day, you can eat a plant strong meal, whether it has a little bit of fish or eggs or something in occasionally. You know, you're gonna get all your nutrients that you need from it. You're gonna get all your essential and non-essential amino acids. Be taken care of properly when you eat food straight from the earth, whole food, plant-based.
Yeah. What do you think? I think you mentioned in a past webinar, what are like some resources people would get to wrap their head around this concept of plant strong? I know one of them is the China Study, correct? The China Study book is a good book to refer to people for as a foundation for that, or?
For sure. I think there's two guys that I like the most out there. Well, three actually. Colin Campbell's China Study book gives you the best research, I think. He has all the studies out there, 750,000 people in the studies to support 90% plants, 10% processed or animal products is the healthiest way, or more plants. Second one, Joel Fuhrman. He has a bunch of books out. Joel Fuhrman's the first guy to actually to say, instead of looking at it for calories, look at it for nutrients. And if we go about that, then we're going to definitely want to eat a lot of more dark green veggies, a lot of colorful veggies, things that are less touched by man and that serve our bodies better for short and long term. But yet he'll say, yeah, have some fish occasionally, have some eggs occasionally, things like that. We'll throw those into the mix occasionally as well. Then you have Dr. Fred Beachy. He's the first one to really say it's most important for you to find your path. He gives you steps to go to more and more higher levels of plant-based, but he also accepts it's your path, and it's the changing of paths, you know, going paleo, going vegan, going, you know, whatever, changing all the time. That's the most unhealthy for the body. So what he suggested is, you know, you got to find a path that works for you, that's going towards more plants, but yet is also a live with for you. So if it's having scrambled eggs 3 times a week, you know, and that's your consumption of animal products, cool. That's better than eating it every single meal 7 days a week. You know, that's a big upgrade.
Yeah. And then there's things to worry about too, or just not worry about, but to think about. Let's say you are 100% plant-based, and you kind of tend to eat the same things every day. Maybe you have a spinach smoothie after you work out. You have a big salad with garbanzo beans and corn and all this other kind of stuff, or, you know, lunch or dinner or something like that. You kind of cycle through the same stuff.
Yeah.
And you start to have this energy depletion, or you start to get sick, or you just don't feel quite awake. This is a key, or you feel bloated, which happens a lot. This is just your body telling you, I'm missing something out of that essential amino acid pool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing something.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's nothing detrimental. It's just like, hey, wait a minute, I need to kind of change something up. I need to get more variety here. I need to do something. Now, if this happens to you, one of the quickest ways to fill those essential amino acids up is to eat a soy product. And I know we're gonna get some but this is the one that has all of the essential amino acids. This is the one plant source that actually has that. And we can talk about that because I know people are worried about the estrogen content in that.
Okay.
And then also, if you're starting to feel this bloat, which I did as a vegan, there came a point where I was like, God, why do I feel so bloated? I'm always bloated. I don't know what's going on. You know, digestive enzymes pops up, and, you know, people can take it or leave it, but, you know, proteins make up enzymes. And if you are depleted in one of those essential amino acids, then you're going to have some kind of bloat issue. Taking a digestive enzyme, I think, is okay. Really, the main thing you want to do is focus on getting a whole variety of whole plant-based foods. That will kill that bloat. But if that is your issue, try a digestive enzyme to start off with, and then start changing everything and get off of it, and then see how the body assimilates the food.
And another thing that to support what Jesse said is, a lot of times when people do go to eating straight plant-based and they do get that bloat, oftentimes it's because, let's say a person eats this much food. When, like I was saying earlier, you're looking for X amount of nutrients. Our body doesn't crave X amount of calories per meal till we say we're satisfied. Our body craves X amount of nutrients per meal. When you eat a meal that is low nutrient based, so if you have a lot of meats and rice, like if you know, how many times have you heard, yeah, I went out and had Chinese food, and I'm starving again an hour later.
Yeah.
You have white rice.
I did that the other day.
Yeah, and you have meat, you have white rice, and a little smidgen of vegetables. So you have two main parts of the meal that are very low nutrient. They're nutrient poor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You get used to eating a big meal like this, let's say, of that. And then you go to eating the same amount of food, same volume, because you think that's what I need, but in high nutrient dense food. Your body
that makes sense.
is overwhelmed. You can't absorb it because your body's used to these foods that go through you quickly, and they're low nutrients, so you don't absorb much from there. And then you go to these foods that are high nutrient, and your body, it just takes longer and it sits more in your body. So when you start going this route, you notice you got to pull back. You got to really pay attention to two things: hunger and satiation. If you become connected to those two things, then you'll understand a lot. If you support the meals with some digestive enzymes, like Jesse's saying, get a wide variety of foods, that will help as well. And nothing's wrong with having, a meal with some white rice and a meat occasionally and stuff like that, or whatever it is occasionally in there, because that stuff's already it really doesn't make a difference if it's like 10% or less of your diet. So, if you want to have it with rice and stuff like that, that's cool and stuff, have it. But just know that if you're eating a high nutrient diet and you're not used to it yet, you don't have to eat as much food.
Yeah.
So break it up, and literally, like we say all the time, the hand plan is something I've been talking about for 30 years as a strength coach. 30 years I've been telling people, eat this much. This is the size of a bowl you should eat. Usually Americans eat this size of a bowl. If you put your hand out like this and make a bowl, or your hand out like this and make a plate, that's about how much food you should eat. Fill it 90% or more with plants. Eat it from G-bombs, your greens, your beans, your onions, your mushrooms, your berries or seeds, things like that. And then 10% or less from other animal or processed sources and stuff like that. That's a nice path for short and long term.
Yeah.
And if you do that and just pay attention to, if you eat this much, you're much less likely to overwhelm your body with a meal and get bloat and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. I like those references of the. I got a question here from Dylan. Have John and Jess heard of the Michael Pollan, Eat Food, Mostly Plants, Not Too Much? A whole food advocate. Have you guys heard of him? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then also In Defense of Food too.
Yeah,
we have.
I just saw him. He came down here to Madison and was on some panel with a bunch of farmers. I remember, and they were talking about just the farming industry and stuff. And I really like his stuff. He's simple. He's not crazy. He doesn't have a lot of quackery. He
doesn't have an agenda.
He doesn't have an agenda. He's a scientist. Researches. He just wants to find the best answer. So I like all of his stuff, actually.
What do you mean by not having an agenda? Because I know what you mean by that, but I think some people who's watching maybe the replay or in the audience don't know what you mean by that.
Having an agenda is an agenda. I want to sell my product, so I'm going to skew everything to go towards my product. Paleo, they have that's just you eat this, you don't eat this. That's it. That's what we consider quackery. Okay, and that serves the products of paleo. Atkins did it. Vegan books do it. Vegetarian books do it. They all say eat this, don't eat this. Anytime you do that, you have an agenda to go towards your niche. Okay, plant-based, whole food plant-based. There is no don't eat this. If we want to go out and have a piece of, my mom, they say she made cake or pie and it has butter in it, we can eat it. We want to go have a pizza with, eggs on it or whatever. That was weird. Eggs on pizza.
Eggs on pizza. Yeah.
Eggs on pizza? That's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, but whatever. If we want to have it, it's okay. So what that does, it's open. There is no quackery, and there is no, like, the only agenda is for us is to get people healthy. That's it. And I'm sure other people will say, well, my diet does that too, but yours is restrictive.
Yeah.
Whenever you restrict, you push people towards that. And that's what most all high-level doctors and nutritionists will call quackery, because it's them pushing it towards their own specific agenda instead of being open-ended, so that you can have everything like this, but we'd recommend, eating more this way and stuff like that.
Got it. That's good. I got a question from Juan here. Hey guys, how do you guys actually calculate how much is 10% or less? Do you guys calculate 10% or less? By the way, what is John drinking?
This is Dandy Blend tea. It's dandelion root, hickory root. Chicory? Mm-hmm. Or hickory. Chicory and hickory?
Uh-huh.
There's like 3 things in it. It's really tasty. It's a super nice natural tea. Herbal tea. I drink it like a lot every day.
He drinks it all the time, and it's what actually got me off of coffee.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so instead I replaced it every morning, my coffee every morning, with Dandy Blend, and I didn't have those extreme withdrawals, and I have been drinking coffee every morning black for years.
Wow.
25 years.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, okay, let me try it. And I did it once before without having Dandy Blend, and I had these headaches, and I was evil, and I was just like evil more than usual. And I was just like, oh my God.
She's never evil. She's the sweetest thing.
Yeah. That's hard to imagine you like that, because I don't think I've ever seen you be mean to anybody except for John.
No, I had Dandy Blend, and I didn't have those. I didn't have the headaches. I didn't have the mood swings. I didn't have any of that. It was pretty smooth transition, except I got a little fatigued a little bit, but okay. So you don't want to anymore. Do Dandy Blend.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second part to that question was, how do you calculate what's 10%? Okay, I'll make it real simple. I'm 200 pounds roughly. I consume around 3,000 calories a day. If I wanted to put some size or muscle on or something like that, I'd probably eat 3,500 calories a day. But we'll just say 3,000 calories a day to make it simple. And we could say for a woman, training, athlete, maybe we'll just make it simple there, 2,000 calories a day. Now, please understand, neither one of us count calories, nor do we tell people to count calories.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
we want you to get in touch with hunger and being satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do count my calories up, they go between 3,000 and 3,500, and that's where I maintain my weight. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I've done this just to answer this very question. If I have 3,000 calories a day, 10% of that is 300, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that means 300 calories, if I wanted to do the 90-10, then I'd have 300 calories of whatever a day from animal products. Maybe it's turkey or fish or eggs or something like that. And then you'll figure it out that way. You know, if you have, and I also don't just count the protein of those, I count the total calories of those foods. Okay, so if I had, I think an egg is 60 calories, if I'm not mistaken. So if I had 5 eggs one day and I had 300 calories worth of fish another day or something like that, that would use up 10% out of my total day's allowance of calories. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah, that was good. And, you know, that's what I like about the Monkey Bar Gym philosophy. You guys don't count calories. I remember counting calories before I discovered you guys, and it used to drive me nuts. And I felt overwhelmed doing that on a daily basis. So I'm glad you brought that out.
Yeah.
It works for some people.
Well,
some people need it, and so therefore we might offer it to explain to people how to do it sometimes. But we like to get people to eating by connecting to their body in true hunger and being satisfied. That's the healthiest way to go. That's what all animals do.
And to me, it was more what I learned from John a long time ago is it was more about my training. It wasn't about my food. It was like, how am I training? Am I still beating this? Am I still feeling good? Am I still, you know, able to survive a workout? Then that became the focus, and my food was just, this is my fuel and this is my support. It wasn't the main thing.
yeah.
If you look like that, then you pay attention to what you eat.
Then you pay attention. Then, like right now, I'm in hardcore training for something I'm going to do in March, and I know if I haven't had enough fat, I can't even sustain. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And it's just clear. It just becomes clear. So I put more focus on my training than on my food.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I do got some questions that's popping up here from an anonymous viewer. Can you post information about this drink in the group? For the person who posted that, do me a favor. If you're on the online fitness group, the program that we have, post it in the group and we'll get back to you with that. No problem. Because I want everybody to see that information. And that would be cool if you could take the time to do that. The next question is, can you get Dandy Blend locally in Madison? That's from Tracy. I believe Tracy's from Madison. I think she used to go to your gym.
We actually have it at our gym.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, well, there you go.
We sell it at our gym because it's so hard to find in Madison. There's only 2 places that have it. If you stop by our gym, you can get it, or the community pharmacy. Yes, as Jesse was saying, they have it as well. If you don't live in Madison, I would look for it in a health food store, or just go online and you can order it there. Yeah. dandyblend.com, I think it is.
Cool. Juan said, thank you very, very much. You guys rock. So that's from Juan. What I like to do, it's about, we're about 30 minutes into this webinar show. I do have a lot of questions listed here, but I want to actually bring on Dylan on board to kind of do a live coaching session with you guys. And he's part of the online fitness membership program that we have going on right now. And we're going to bring you up, Dylan, here in just one quick second. I'm going to promote you as a panelist. And then we're going to have a cool dialogue as panelists. There you go. And we don't have any notes or anything. We're just going to have an awesome conversation with Dylan. Say, hey, how you doing, Dylan? Can you hear us? I think your mic's off. If you scroll down where you might have like a red slash over your mic, if you click on it. Perfect. Hey, Dylan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Amazing. Thanks for asking.
Hi, Dylan.
Hey, John. Hey, Jess.
Awesome. Hey, real quick, Dylan, how did you hear about Monkey Bar Gym? I'm just curious about that because I know you're I noticed you have the same area code as John and Jess with the phone number.
I heard about Monkey Bar Gym probably when did you start? 2000. So it was probably like 2003, 2004. My sister lives in Madison, or lived in Madison at the time and still does. and she told me about you guys.
Oh, that's cool.
And sent me a T-shirt, and and back then, you guys had a website and you posted some of your workouts and stuff like that. So I started doing workouts when I lived in Maryland.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then I moved to Madison about 4 years ago, and I live over in Middleton, so I'm on the far west side, and so I traveled every day for a 60-day fitness challenge, which was awesome, but I couldn't keep doing it because it's just too much time. It was just it was as much time commuting as it was to go for working out.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a 30-minute drive each way, about, right?
Yeah. So, and when I moved to Madison in part to get out of commuting for 45 minutes every day, so it was anyway.
Well, the online works for you then, right?
It works. It's great, actually. And since you've had a couple of, this is sort of a reinvigorated version of it. It seems like that is. I like the way the sheets come in and the videos specifically for it. And so it works for me really well. The hardest part for me is I like working at my house outside, but in the winter I don't like doing that. So I have to go someplace else. I have to figure out something else. So my wife is a member of a gym, so I go there. And
That's cool.
That's perfect.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Cool. So maybe you want to jump on the Hoff train that Don and Jess is doing. Maybe the cold won't bother you so much.
Yeah.
You guys learn how to Wim Hof?
Yeah.
Doing that for about a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. We my brother and I talk about it, but we never looked into it.
That's what everybody says. Everybody says, yeah, it looks really
I heard
interesting. Okay.
Looks really cool too.
Nobody wants to join us.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Dylan, so you're familiar with the Monkey Bar Gym training. That's awesome. And what kind of fitness goals do you have? What do you want to accomplish with the online fitness program that we have currently?
So I have a couple different goals. One is a generic goal of just being more fit. And I know that's really abstract, but basically I just want to, I have at different times in my life been, felt like comfortably strong and wanted to get stronger, but felt basically comfortably strong. And, I've been sort of an athlete of some sort for, since I was a teenager. And so I know sort of how that feels. And I'm off that train right now. So like when I go play soccer, I'm, huffing more than I ought to. And I'm not able to do the things I want to do. So and that's the one thing that I like about Monkey Bar the best is the idea that you should be able to do the things you want to do. Right.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I translate functional fitness. And so that's sort of, so I want to be able to go and to quantify. I want to be able to go run hard out for 50 minutes playing soccer. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to, a few years ago, I quantified it during the summer. My family would go to the lake every summer, and I started wakeboarding. And it turns out wakeboarding is really hard. To go wakeboarding for extended periods of time is really hard. And so, like, one summer I did it, and like the next morning I woke up, I couldn't move at all. So my goal the next year was to be able to wakeboard as much as I wanted to for a whole week. So I wasn't having to let go of the rope. I could be towed behind a boat for as long as I possibly wanted to, not to have to just give up. So that's what I think about. I want to be able to do those things I want to do. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's fine.
there a question in there?
He asked me that. He asked me questions. So I don't know why.
I'm just messing with you. I like to mess with people.
Yeah, I get that a lot, Dylan.
Oh,
You're
when
not
I was
the
5
only one.
years old, then
Dylan is constant. It's just constant.
Yeah. So
I just enjoy messing with people, Dylan.
Yeah.
that's fine, no problem. So if I turned it into a question, so So for me, working with Monkey Bar, one of my big issues is just substitutions, right? So like I saw one of your things, like I have a couple kettlebells, but I don't have a ton of them. And I look at the workouts, and I love kettlebells, but I don't have a whole set of them. And also there are times where, like the other workout the other day, there was a lot of, for me, fairly heavy weight from where I'm at right now. And I want to be a little bit slower on it. And I heard you talking at one point about using cables and other things like that, but I don't know like what those substitutions are. And so I feel like there's sort of the big picture is like there's a whole bunch of tools in the toolbox. You know, like I have a power wheel, I have some cables, I have one of those push-up things, right? But I don't know how to take those and substitute them in so that I can make a meal out of a workout, right? Okay.
I got it. I actually finished. I did a whole chart for people. I just haven't finished making it into a poster yet.
Okay.
And what we're going to have for you guys is like a kettlebell clean. If you had no cables, what do? You know, you can do a cable clean. You can do a cable full extension if you want. The objective is to get a pull and a hip extension into it. So there's multiple ways to attack it to get that nice meal from that workout, basically. And so we're in that process of making it into a poster for you guys right now, and it'll be on our new website as soon as that's up. And there will be an alternative or a travel page so that all you got to do is, okay, I don't have enough like for doing a deadlift. I only have two 16Ks. That's too light to do deadlift. So how do you make a deadlift out of two 16Ks and a power jumper or some cables? Or how do you just completely substitute if you want to do a body weight version of a deadlift? That is in there. Okay, so it should be very soon for you. It's just we're so busy right now working on books and courses and stuff like that coming up because we got a lot of stuff for 2016 that we're developing. But I finished that already, that chart, and just haven't made it into a poster yet for you guys. So that should be out in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a question right now though with like how to make a kettlebell heavier, basically?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a good example of that. Yeah. So, yes. How do you make a kettlebell heavier?
Here's a quick fix. Let's say you only have one pair of kettlebells. They're 16K, and that's too easy for you to clean those, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of kicking the kettlebell back between your legs, just have it between your feet and do what's called a dead clean. So there is no kickback. Okay. That makes it a little bit harder. Taking that up a notch then to make it even harder is doing what's called a bottom up. Do you know what that is?
No.
A bottom up clean is normally when you hold a kettlebell in the rack position, the ball of the bell is out here. When you do a bottoms up clean, you pop it and the ball of the bell is up here. So you got to balance the bell. Yeah. And it's much harder than doing a regular clean.
Sure.
And we'll have videos of that as well and stuff like that. But when you clean it, you're just going to clean it so the bottom of the bell is on the top. And that's why it's called a bottoms up. And that's two ways. Then also, instead of doing a clean, snatch the bell instead. Okay. That's a lot harder hip pull. So there's a lot of simple ways to take a bell and make it heavier. Mm. Hopefully
cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Another question I had was just about generically the idea of self-assessment, sort of understanding where you're at and how to progress. So like, and I guess part of what I'm thinking about is also how that factors into as I get older. So I find that a lot of my memory about what I can do is like from when I was 20 or 25, right? So like now, like if I go run and I feel like I'm like running hard, right? And I go look at my watch and it's like, you know, an 8-minute mile or 7.5-minute mile, which isn't bad, But like, I never felt that tired when I was 25. That was like my slow running speed, right? So that means that to me, I have to know how to assess myself. So can you talk a little bit about what kinds of things to do in a monkey bar gym kind of way to assess how much weight to do, how hard to do stuff, that kind of thing?
Sure. Well, first off, instead of saying a general, like you said, you have general goal of getting in shape. You went to school, your general goal was to graduate. So that's a very clearly defined goal. You are X years old right now, and not from when you're 20 what your goal is, but what is your goal from where you are today? Yeah. What's your goal for a month from now?
Yep.
Well, my goal is to improve on my workouts that I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe my 6th month goal on each of these big movements, maybe like I want to do 20 pull-ups in a row. I want to deadlift 500 pounds. I want to, cup dunk a basketball. These are different goals that I have, but I think they're very important for everybody to have your own specific goals for short and for long term. The workouts, the way that we overlay them, you should, if you really want to improve yourself, work to improve on specific parts that you want to, whether it's the conditioning, whether it's the strength, or it's a combination. Like we said in one of the webinars a week or 2 weeks ago, I think we were talking about, it's super important to have some goals and then work to improve those workouts each week that go towards those goals. And that comes with, what is my main goal? Is it conditioning based? Is it strength based? Or is it all of the above? And if it's all of the above, then I got to do a mixture of classes each week, listen to my body, make sure that I'm recovering, and then improve upon those specific workouts that I picked from the first 8 workouts. Mm-hmm. That will give you monthly improvements, and then towards your bigger goal as well. But you got to, first off, do you have a running goal? Do you have a push-up goal, a pull-up goal? Do you have a kettlebell goal? And if you don't have them, I have them for all my trainers. I have general goals. I want you to be able to do 100 doubles in a row. I want you to do a 100-yard power wall crawl in one set without pausing. I want you to do the clean and press 15-15 workout for 100 reps, 24 Ks for men and 16 Ks for women. Those are basic, simple goals that I have for my trainers. For my power level students, I apply the same goals for them.
So what you're describing to me sounds like seeing what those kinds of goals look like is also really useful, right? It's like I feel a little bit like going to college, and I want to see what the lists of majors are, right? And sort of have an idea of how it's easier to choose from a structure of possible items and see how it's working together. And like for me, I have some experience with training, but it's very focused, for instance, on running. I have an idea of how that works, but more whole body training, I have less of an idea about how to set my goals. And so I end up sort of just submitting myself to the training, but it would help to have specific goals.
Okay, so let's look at it this way. If you were to do 2 strength workouts a week and 3 conditioning workouts a week,
mm-hmm.
Okay, and out of those workouts that you do, you keep track of just your strength workouts, and your objective for the conditioning workouts is just do them.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on, okay, if I did 10 push-ups for 2 sets and 10 pull-ups for 2 sets in my first day, second time I do this workout, I want to do 12. Third time I do this workout, I want to be able to do sets of 14.
Good.
Just simple stuff like that. Yeah. And if you apply the same rules that you used to apply when you ran.
Yeah.
Your goal wasn't, you can improve a little bit every workout, but sometimes if you blast yourself, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to collapse. So what we like to do, that's why we change the workouts every month. But yet we also repeat them within the month so you guys get ownership of them. So you have 3 opportunities to improve those workouts each month. You got stronger and adapted that month. Next month, we're going to shock you again. And that's the way that we feel that builds the body the best. strength, conditioning, all the above.
Okay.
Okay.
So I had one more question, which was prompted a little bit. I heard a little bit you talking with Armando about the CNT, and it was serendipitous because I've seen that advertised before, and I've always thought that was like clearly for people who are like running a gym or wanting to be personal trainers and stuff like that. And but I was kind of wondering, because I saw it advertised in as well, is that something that you could do like sort of a fitness camp?
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about like what goes on in that, like for over 2 days, and how that affects someone like me who isn't necessarily looking to train somebody else, just train myself.
Well, how it works, I mean, again, it's a 2.5-day course. And what we'll go through is basically all of the movements that you're already familiar with. And we break them down to the nth degree. So every single person is going to have their deadlift broken down, or their kettlebell clean broken down, or their push-up or their pull-up broken down, so that you become more efficient. That's why it's not always for just people who are personal trainers. It's for anybody, because everybody has to work on something.
Yeah.
From there, we have a lot of group interactions. So you're actually going to be working with other people. You're going to help teach other people. And in that sense, you learn more.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're sitting up here teaching people how to do a kettlebell clean, and you teach 4 people how to do a kettlebell clean, you're going to be able to spot all of the misalignments that this person has, and that person has, and that person has, and it therefore makes you more efficient at your kettlebell clean.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a fun process, and it's a very community driven. Everybody works together, and it's just fun, and you learn a lot. Learn a lot of stuff about how to do everything. You also leave with a program. You also learn a lot about nutrition. It's just a whole bunch of stuff packed in 2.5 days.
And then you'll learn some restoration stuff as well with our base class. We'll definitely do that during the course as well.
Yeah.
So if you have aches and pains, and that which everybody has something going on, or that occasionally you get tweaked, training.
Yeah, that's one of the most
You'll learn
important
how to fix
elements,
it.
actually. That's kind of the secret.
Well, so you just made me want to ask a question I had written down, but could you say more? At the bottom of every sheet on the online workouts is the base stuff, and I watched the video about it, but you just told me that there's more to thinking about what that's doing and when you do it. So how does that fit into the whole workout? Because that's another thing, that the workout that I see there is really that's the core of a whole workout, right? You have a warm up. You have a cool down.
We teach you at the course, we teach you warm-ups that fit certain types of workouts.
Okay.
The base is something you can do on its own.
Okay.
You can do one of the poses that might feel really good, and you only have 2 minutes free during the day, but maybe your back is hurting a little bit. So you learn, I can do this pose. It'll help my back. Yep, it feels good, and go on with your day. You're also going to learn little ways to eat and stuff like that. But when you see the workouts listed and stuff like that, that's just the base written there. Can be done the same day, or it can be done totally different. That's sort of whatever you feel like doing right now. But the depth that we can go into on those sheets is like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You can break it down a million ways when you're in person, and that's where you really get ownership of all those poses.
That's what we discuss at the CNT course. We break that stuff down and blows people's minds.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully we'll see you someday at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Dylan. We'll move you as a viewer now. So thanks for joining us, man. That was good questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Armando.
Thank you. All right. Let's see here. That was awesome. Thanks so much, John and Jess. That was a great question and answer type thing. I do have a couple questions here from people who are hanging in there with us. We are going to get back on the plant-based. We have about 9 more minutes left, 8 more minutes. But Nathaniel asked, will you please talk about an example of the ultimate meal in terms of aminos, protein benefits, for example, quinoa, spinach, avocado, garbanzo beans, cabbage, etc. That's from Nathaniel.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
It actually did sound
You want one of the things Joe Furman talks about, like we said before, is G-bombs. And then he also talks about nutrient density. So you want to get a good amount of greens in at your meals, but you also want to get the onions and mushrooms in because they help the absorption and digestion of all the nutrients. And so we put a big focus on getting those in almost every single meal. If you can, every meal, not smoothies and stuff, but most of your hearty type plant-based meals, that's helpful to get those in there. One specific meal, like you just said, that's a nice plant strong meal. If you're going to have a starch, we like when we tell people, get a pseudo starch, which is things like quinoa, millet, and things like that, that have higher nutrient content than white rice, things like that. And then you're going to get some greens in there and beans and onions, mushrooms, things like that. That's a nice plant strong meal.
Yeah.
And so depending, you can just insert different greens in there, different beans, all the ones that you want to think about foods like first class, second class, third class foods. And first class foods mostly are greens, brightly colored vegetables, and that's what you want to have the majority of your meals from. Mm-hmm. Support that stuff and have as a foundation. If you want some starch like quinoa and things like that, that's cool. If you want to have it with some greens and beans, that's cool. If you want to have it with some healthily, geez Louise, I'm really on a tangent of speaking poorly. With a healthy caught fish or something like that, that's cool too. If it's but the main thing is think in terms of nutrients, think in terms, and then also in G-bombs. There's a million meals that you can have that are strong. You just gave one, but well,
as far as
meal we eat at dinner, we could basically say what we do.
As far as finding a combination of plant sources that creates the essential amino acids, that is I think that's what Nathaniel's asking, and that is a super complicated question because, boy, you can add so many. I know chickpeas don't have all of the essential amino acids, but if you add sesame paste, then you have it. It can get so crazy. So the best thing is to, like what John said, is just get a variety of foods in that day. Food combining was something that was, talked about some time ago, may still be talked about, where you have to sit and actually make, combine your food so they make these essential amino acids. That's not true. Just eat a variety of foods throughout the day, and you'll have everything that you need. So just go away with, I need to eat a variety of foods, not the same thing every day if I'm going to be plant-based. Remember, I need to fill my amino acid pools that comes from every kind of source of plant that I can actually have. And if I feel like I'm low in it and I need it, then I need to eat a soy product and make sure that soy product is organic. And then it's not genetically modified in any way. And that will give you your essential amino acids right off the bat.
So I can't drink soy from Starbucks. That soy's...
I would not recommend the soy from Starbucks.
Just checking. We got a couple minutes left here. Thank you so much for answering that. I'd like to do a few announcements really quick before we leave. Do you guys have a topic for next week? Because I have a suggestion for the next topic.
Ooh, what's your suggestion?
Do you guys have one, though? I'm just asking.
Oh, tell us.
All right. I have a laundry list of questions that we never addressed from past seminars because we just ran out of time. A laundry list. I think next webinar we should do straight Q&A from the list of questions we couldn't get to.
That's fine.
This webinar is amazing, and people are really, really reaching out to you guys for some answers, and that'd be pretty cool if we could just do just all Q&A for an hour straight. But okay, great. So we're on the same page with that. But what I like to announce is that the reason why Dylan's on here, taking 15-20 minutes to kind of ask questions with John and Jess, he's part of an online fitness membership program that we're a part of. We're still in a pre-sale price. email me at Armando at monkeybargym.com. I have a website developed for the easy sign-up process. So just email me. I'll send that to you, and then we'll get that going. But the reason why he's able to do this, because that's just one of the benefits as an online fitness member. You're able to have your 15 minutes of fame during these webinars. We choose one person every single week to have a dialogue with John and Jess, which is awesome. And everybody that kind of sees a replay or joining us get to see the dialogue and benefit from it too as well. So anybody who's an online fitness member currently right now that's watching this webinar, email me at Armando at monkeybargym.com if you want to be on the next 15-minute fame hot seat with John and Jess, which is pretty cool. The CNT course for next year is in April on April 22nd through 24th. There is early bird specials. Email Jessica at monkeybargym.com for more information. We already got people signing up for that. You also have a base course too as well, Jess?
Yeah, we do have a base course. Our next base course, I believe, is March 22nd. I may be wrong on that. I got to look that up again on my calendar. But yeah, we're having another one, and it comes a little bit after the CNT course.
Okay, cool. Yeah, email Jess about that, Jessica at monkeybargym.com.
Before the next CNT course. March is before April.
I went January, February, April, March. Okay, it's before.
Nice. And we also got an announcement. We're in the process of getting the Isons Yoga up and going for digital viewing. So that's up and coming as a project for our online members too as well, and for sale. We also got an ebook, the Jungle Gym XT ebook that we talked about in our last webinar. I just created a website for that. Again, I'll have that up there, but email me at Armando at monkeybargym.com if you guys want to get that. Online members get a discount at $9.95 for this Jungle Gym XT. Non-members get it for $19.99. And I think that's about it for my announcements. Is there anything else you guys want to go ahead?
One thing. Yeah. For folks that are interested, if you go on our Monkey Bar Gym page or my fan page or anything like that, you might see that we post, we go in the water 3 or 4 times a week. The water's in low 30s now. And we're sitting in there for a while, and we talk a lot about the Wim Hof method and cold water exposure and things like that. And I've been doing it. I started doing it last January 1st, and been doing it pretty consistent since that time. And tomorrow we're going to go in the water again as a 1-year anniversary. We're going to sit in there for a lot longer tomorrow. But the point why I'm bringing this up is we're actually going to be doing a Wim Hof method seminar at the Monkey Bar Gym a week before the CNT course. So if anybody's interested in doing that, you can contact us or look out on our Facebook page, as we'll be posting a flyer for that pretty soon. And if you're interested in it, again, you can probably contact Armando, and we'll put a flyer out to you guys pretty soon for that as well.
And the courses are so close together that you could actually take them both at the same time. And
then just stay in Madison for the week.
Yeah, the Wim Hof method and the CNT all in one thing.
We'll party. Great. So we're going to end this session. I got one quick question here from an anonymous viewer. JD said, where is information on the online part of the program? Again, email me, Armando at monkeybargym.com. I just created a website for easy sign-up process, but I haven't put it out there yet. But it's Armando, Armando, not an O in the middle. It's an A in the middle, at themonkeybargym.com. So thank you so much for you guys' time. John and Jess, this was an awesome webinar, and we really appreciate your times.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.